The Unscrewed Mind. Immediately.
Quickly,
Episode
yes.
44, the one we did last week, was titled "There's No Better Time Than Now," right?
Yeah,
And we were going to do goals at the end of that one, but it just made sense to put together our goals in a separate episode. But the point is, don't wait till New Year's, don't wait till Monday, don't wait till whenever. Get started right away. And you and I have never done this. We have a common goal, right?
hmm
We have a common interest, and that common interest is this podcast and the episodes that we do every
yeah,
week. But we've never sat down and said, this is the next benchmark, this is the next goal, this is the next milestone that we should celebrate. So I think
yeah.
now would be a good time to do that. And I
hmm
have 3 written down that we touched on lightly next week, but I'm happy to hash this out on the episode and come up with. I think 3 is just a good round number to come up with 3 goals that we can set, that we can work towards,
Yeah,
and kind of similar in law of attraction fashion. I think that once we have them set, we should write them down,
right.
and you and I should read them every day. And then when they happen, whenever they happen, we'll come back on here and we'll talk about them and celebrate them. So
Well, we have set goals before, but we didn't set them with intention.
you're comfortable where you're at. I'm comfortable where I'm at. There's no limiting factors. They've all been removed. The only thing that separates us from the success that we want in this arena is not having a mark to shoot for. So let's set the mark.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
ready.
do you want to say what your goals are first, or do you
So,
want me to give one, or what? Do you want to go
so
back and forth, or what would you like to do?
well, we can go back and forth. I'll start
Okay.
off with the first one. I
Okay.
have, I mean, you have access to it too, but I have access to Buzzsprout, who's the one that hosts our
hmm
podcast in the cloud.
Right. Right.
Buzzsprout has stats, and we've been doing this for 1 year, even after the 2-month hiatus. We've basically been doing it for 1 year.
hmm
And up until this point, we have a little over 1,100 episode downloads.
hmm
Okay. I My goal, and I don't want to say for this year because I don't want to put a time stamp on it,
hmm
but the next milestone I want to celebrate is 10,000 downloads.
That's what I was
That's
thinking.
that's one of my goals,
Okay.
is to get to a point where this podcast has been downloaded 10,000 times.
hmm
Seems like a good round number, and definitely something that should be celebrated. And I will say that 1,000 is no small feat. I don't know
No.
anyone else that does a podcast.
Right.
There are certainly lots of people that do, but I don't know anyone personally that does.
hmm
So to think about what we've done up until this point, having to figure out how to host it, how to record it, how to edit it, that's a lot. So 1,000
Yeah.
is something to be celebrated. We missed that. We didn't necessarily do anything for that. So I want to 10,000 to be a big deal, and then I want to do something special when it happens.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great goal, and I think it's extremely achievable. And I like how you didn't put a specific date on it. Um, because if we say it's a month, if we say it's 2 weeks, if we say it's a year, whatever, you're going to sit there, and if it doesn't come exactly on that date, it could bother you, or it could discourage you, or whatever it is. And I
Mm-hmm.
really don't think that, I don't know if I've ever had a goal that I put a specific date on that it necessarily came true on that exact date. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So, and just knowing that the goal is being moved towards and completed is just so much more satisfying and easier on the mind than thinking about this date is approaching and nothing has happened. What is going on? I've got one that is very important to me, and I know it will be to you as well. Is I really would like to hear from 100 people that have been affected or helped by our podcast,
Ooh, okay.
because that is the overarching goal of this podcast for me, because I know specific struggles that I've had throughout my life. While I've had a great life and, some would say extremely easy, I've still had a lot of things that I didn't like about myself that I wanted to change, or that I couldn't control. And knowing these things has just helped me so drastically, and I feel so much better about myself and my connection with my friends. And the things that I say to people are just so drastically different than the things that I would have said to them in the past. And I
Mm-hmm.
want that for other people too. And if you are out there and you think that you're not good enough, or you're not the person, and other people are getting things and other people are doing things, it's not. It has nothing to do with you, but everything to do with how you think.
I think now would be a good time to just mention that the name of the podcast is Unscrewed Mind, right? You
Mm-hmm.
know that because you're listening to it. But
Mm-hmm.
we're Unscrewed Mind at all of our socials as well, right? So on Twitter, on
Yeah.
Instagram. We don't have a Facebook page just because, no
Mm-hmm.
thanks.
Yeah.
Um, Also on YouTube at Unscrewed
Well, we're
Mind,
not we're not really focusing on the nursing home community as much, so
right?
Facebook is kind of
Right. Tell your parents
left
about
out.
us, okay? But here's the thing,
No, but
you
it
know,
does it. Yeah.
all of those are great avenues for community outreach and for feedback. So if you're listening to this, if you hear something that you think is funny, or you think is moving, or if it's motivating, or even if, I mean, let's say for some reason you don't like it or we're wrong, we would love to hear from you. I think that's part of it. A lot of times, especially in this day and age, you can feel like you're in this tight little bubble where it's just you and it's everyone else. But I, your bubble can join with our bubble, and we can slowly group a bunch of them together until we have a community of like-minded people. And that's when like really, really important, drastic things can happen. And it would be cool. I
Yeah.
always go out to the different podcasting networks that host our podcast, and I look for comments, ratings. Haven't really seen any yet, but I like your goal because it's broad. Um, but also too, like it opens up an avenue for all kinds of growth, which would be really, really interesting to see, not only personally, but just from a podcasting standpoint. It is, there's anywhere that could go. It's it's awesome, but it's not limiting, and I think that's what
Hmm.
goals should be. The other goal for me is just to become, and this one's broad. You can help me flesh it out. It's just become more polished. And I
Hmm.
don't know I don't know what become more polished means. I don't know if it's content. I don't know if it's production value.
Hmm.
I don't know what that is, but I would like for this to feel like or become more of a production.
Right.
And I
I,
I
I,
think just concentrating on the fact that I want it to be more polished, you thinking about it too. I feel like inspiration comes from all sorts of places, but you have to be thinking about what you want to be inspired to do. And if every day I wake up and I think about how I want to get to 10,000 downloads, how I want to affect the mindset or create positive change in 100 people, and how I want the show to become more polished, then when I see something, I think it's more likely to have an effect on me, and I'm more likely to incorporate it into what we're doing here. And we can
because
just do
I like
one
the,
one one one. So I said
okay.
three. We can do four. That way, we have equal representation. This is a country. It's all about fairness and equality. Equal goals for both of us.
Okay. Um,
Ooh, dramatic pause. I have one that I would say.
Okay.
which would feel good when it happens.
Okay.
How about a sponsorship?
One of my goals is for us to do this podcast in person,
Okay.
where it's me and
Oh, that
you
makes me
in
nervous.
the same
That makes
room
me nervous
doing the
just thinking
podcast.
about it. Oh,
Yeah.
together? Like in the same room
Yeah.
together? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Not in front of
um,
a crowd of people, just in the same room.
no, yeah. I mean, no, I want that too, but no, this specifically, I want us to be at my house, your house, in space somewhere doing it together in one room.
I I don't say that I love things very often.
But you
I
love
love
that
that.
idea.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love
I
it.
think it. I think it would just be fun because for those of you that don't know, me and Matt are over 500 miles away from each other, and for so long we were in the exact same building every single day, and we were not as close as we are being 500 miles apart.
Yeah. I would say
Would you
we're
say?
closer now. We're closer now than we've ever been, but I haven't seen you
Mm-hmm.
in 2 years. Haven't felt your warm embrace. Haven't looked up at your chin from my low visage, and just been close, and I
Yeah.
miss that. I really
Yeah.
do.
Well, it's just a different dynamic when you're in the room. I mean, I'm looking at you, of course, right now. I have no idea what this room feels like. I've never been in it before. You've never been in this room. Um, and so you were actually at my old house. So you have seen
Yep.
that house. I mean, you know what it's like, the energy, all that kind of stuff. Because the atmosphere that you're in can be felt. I mean, anytime you walk into somebody's house, you know, how many times have you walked into somebody's house and it gives you a totally different perspective on that person, you know,
Oh.
because of
Oh
the,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Because it's like
Mhm.
you can just tell where somebody puts their attention, where their energy flows is apparent by the things that they do, where they live, the setup of their home, all those different things. And it's not necessarily, um, I'm not saying it's necessarily good or bad, but you're going to draw a conclusion based on that. It's because it's something that's like in us. So that's
Mhm.
why, I don't know. Just I like to see the energy dynamic of us being in the same room. And
That is
yeah.
that's a really good one. That
Mhm.
almost should be number 1.
Oh my
'Cause that means we
gosh,
get to see
yours is
each other. It
wonderful.
means
Yours
it
is
means we get to
wonderful,
see.
right?
That's a good one. So, we
Yeah.
got 4 goals. We just closely talked about, or a few minutes ago talked about a 5th goal, and I'm just going to say it. I'm just going
Okay.
to put it out there.
I've
When
already
I listen
forgot. Go
to
ahead.
other
No, just,
What'd you say?
I already forgot. Go ahead.
When I listen to other podcasts, one
Yeah.
thing that they always do, and in the middle of a story or in the middle of content or whatever, it's kind of annoying. And I
Hmm.
do hit the
Hmm.
fast forward button, but I would like to read a little sponsorship cutaway.
Yeah.
I think it would be great to be sponsored.
Absolutely.
And obviously, to get sponsored, you have to have an audience. It has to be worth their time to let you do it.
Mm.
So it would be an awesome milestone to reach to have a
Yeah.
sponsor for the Unscrewed Mind podcast.
And the sponsorship, I'm going to add this to the goal,
Okay.
is only going to be something that I personally and you personally would want and use. Because half of these sponsorships that I see, I'm like, does this person care in any way about this? Right?
Right.
I mean, I'm not even going to say some of what they are because it's so. I'm like, come on, no way. You don't think that way. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. I
It's
I
like,
would happily read a bidet sponsorship after this episode drops. Just
oh,
like
now
brought to you
that right
by
there. No,
Billy's Bidet Installation Service. Get your bidet
so
installed.
I'm gonna set us a goal that's outside of the podcast. Also,
Uh-huh.
I want to do I want us to start a review channel as well, and then and get sponsorships through that because I love to purchase stuff. I love to talk about the things that I purchased. I do hours and hours of researches on things, not the bidet. Sorry, I didn't do hours of research on the bidet.
Obviously. Obviously, you didn't do
Right,
much research
right.
on that.
Wouldn't have bought that. But um, yeah, I think that that would be exciting for us to do. And, you know, we definitely want to. The reason why we're doing these goals is because of the simplicity of setting a goal, but also because I want everyone to know that's watching this that when they're setting their goals, don't beat yourself up. Don't do something that you feel like that is never going to happen in deep down in your heart. I'm not saying don't set a huge goal that you're working towards and not worried about it and have an infinite amount of time that you're willing to give to make it to that goal, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying don't set a goal that somebody else has implanted in your mind. Don't set a goal that's not something that you actually don't want to do. And just focus on things that would make you happy when you're setting these goals. Every one of these goals that we just set is something that both of us agree that we would like to do and we would like to see happen, and it would be exciting to us. So I don't know. I can't think of a specific example right now besides if somebody's telling you to get a job or to go through school or to change the way that you're acting about something, but you don't feel like that that's necessarily what you should do, then don't let that be a goal because that is not going to be helpful.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Chase your dream, man. Make it
and,
a reality.
and sometimes somebody brings a dream, it brings something to you that can be your dream, but sometimes it's not. You know what I'm saying?
I get it. The Unscrewed Mind.